If you can help it, this is what you learn in the industry for everybody that's an artist. When it comes to putting your people on, is a good thing on the grassroots level, but a very bad thing on the industry main scene level. It takes so much more for brand building than meets the eye. So you'll drop, like 10, 11, 12 mixtapes. You'll be fire. You'll get on, right? And it's like the best thing that can happen to you can be the worst thing that happens to you, because sometimes you can get that good deal and you be making your bread, you be doing your tours, but the truth is more people see you online than do on tour now. This wasn't always the case. Now, yes, you still get your bread with tours, and this is really the only way that they can see any bread, which already puts them in a predicament. So you get in a situation where you're trying to put your team on the industry level. That's a lot of money going toward a lot of different kind of branding, because the group has to be they have to be so supernaturally consistent when it comes to like having each member stay on brand. And I hate to sound like a pessimist. I'm like, yo, if it didn't work for the Wu, man, it don't work for nobody. Because they was one of the best examples of at least having that many talented people doing their own individual rendition of lyricism with their own style and everything. But to keep that many people on brand and to still have a unified feel about your brand, that's going to be hard. Like, how do you make Killer Army, Sons of Man, and like all of the other groups? Like, how do you you know what I mean, Wu Syndicate? I think there was some other ones, right? Like SAS. There were more groups. That might be another cruise group. They might actually be with Dipset, but there was like, it originally started with like maybe 8 members. We talk about Wu-Tang, and by the time like the late 90s came, they had like a good 50, 60 rhymers that you could just really offhand just name from inside and out the group. At least 20. The average person can name at least 20 when you start naming everybody else, because these Wu affiliates, they also were supposed to represent the brand. But how do you keep that many people razor sharp and kung fu'd up? You technically can't if they're all going to do their own thing. Who's to say that this member ain't going to sign a deal with this person and all of a sudden your brand is done because one of your main members has a different sound now that doesn't reflect the brand? That 1994, 95, 96 kung fu type of branding going up to like that 70s type of Iron Man blaxploitation film thing, that sound was supposed to endure. Even going as far as Supreme Clientele, those sounds were supposed to endure because that was still on brand. But any other direction outside of that is a stretch, because now you just have the individual artist, the man, having to like off their own creativity be their own brand, but not necessarily under the Wu-Tang banner, because that's not indicative of what the first 5 or 6 albums from Wu-Tang sounded like. See, there's a level of consistency and like strong creativity in the monotonous sphere when it comes to branding. And if you're gonna be changing things about your brand, you gotta try to do a lot of that one change. Like, you don't just put one bounce track out there if you're gonna do something different with your sound change. You might have to introduce it on every mixtape, 2 of them on every album, 2 bouncers, just for progression's sake. But for the sake of trying your hand at a new thing, you might try your hand at a new thing once. And it might take more than one time to really get it to pop, to really get your sound, to get your flow down, how you want it to sound, how you want the beat to really sound, how you want the music to really sound. It might take more than one track to really get that off the right way. And then you got to multiply that and many other things by however many members you have. You're going to be multiplying it by that. So it's managerial in that sense but being managerial over the direction of the creativity. So your executive production skills have to be superior. You have to be a Beethoven, a Mozart to get a handle on that. And all of this comes into branding. And this is why it's a good thing on the grassroots level to put your team on, but it can turn out to be a bad thing to put your team on the mainstream, main scene level, because that's too many brands to create uniformity out of, right? You never get tired of Tide. You say, well, we see him everywhere. See, this is the difference with one artist being quote unquote oversaturating the market. Let's use Lil Wayne, for example. The time when he really released a whole bunch of songs in like a stretch of time. Like, I don't want to be wrong about the years, but maybe like at least from 05 to 07, you know what I mean? He might have dropped like 500 songs, 600 songs, you know what I mean? And I'm undershooting it probably when I say that. But you can say what you want about, oh, he's coming out too much, and oh, the quantity is affecting the quality. But what you can't deny is that all of this builds the brand of Lil Wayne, though, still. Because what you can't say is that when the time and the opportunity was there, that he wasted it. No, he dropped like however many hundreds of songs in that couple of years span. You can't deny that he did all of those Carters. You can't deny that. But if Wayne had a team under him where it was like 5 men responsible for dropping, you see how that can mess up the brand, because you have too many different energies scattering in too many different directions. And if they're not creative enough and disciplined enough to stay on brand, the overall brand, because now you have an umbrella concept, and anything under the umbrella should represent the whole umbrella. But if that doesn't happen, now you got to try to rein all of this energy in. You got to feature, you got to work with this, work with that, and not everything is going under a multi-chambered concept, although that's what's happening when you put a group on or a team on the main scene level, versus the one man. He's doing all the features, and even if he seems oversaturated, it's still going to be a name that rings even faster. Just like I said, you don't get tired of seeing Frito-Lay's chips, even if it's a brand of chip you don't eat. It's not like you ever get sick of seeing it. You don't protest when you see it in the grocery store. It's just there, and there might be a flavor that they come out with that you do like, and you know what kind of chip that is. You see how that goes? Brand recognition still solidifies you as an artist. So you can never release too much music. Never, ever, ever. You can never release too much music, even if it's trash, because this is about brand building. You just hear the top of the success stories. You just hear that McLaren is the car that's bought by the rappers. You don't hear the struggle. You just hear that Bugatti is out. Somebody woke up in the new Bugatti. You don't hear the struggles about what Bugatti and Ferrari and Lamborghini and those guys had to go through before their car became a brand name. That it was a struggle in the back scene of a person failing thousands of times, a person being laughed at hundreds of times, but they just kept coming back. Like, oh, here comes McLaren again. Here comes Lamborghini again. Oh, here comes, you know what I mean? They was really saying this about the top of the line luxury cars at some point, because they was trying to get in. Oh, here comes Ford again. What he want? But everybody driving them now. So that's how that goes with brand recognition. You keep pushing. Don't focus so much in this day and age about getting a team behind you. Study how a team works and increase your skills that would otherwise be occupied by whatever team members you have. Like if you need an engineer, learn engineering then. If you need a promoter, learn promotion then. If you need a graphic designer, try to do some graphic design. If you need somebody to write for you, start writing. If you need a producer, start tinkering with the beats. You know what I mean? Just do all of that, because you got enough. You got a smartphone. If you got a smartphone, you got about 90% of what it is. Everything else is just technique from there. You know what I mean? It's just mastering your sound and all of that good stuff. Trust me, it's really about the content more so than the look and like the professionalism in most cases. So again, the Super T Sigma program, and I thank you for your time and attention. Definitely, reaching is teaching. In the meantime, in between time, know yourself for yourself and continue to vibrate high. Peace.